The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it's Monday in the Riv.
After a weekend full of fun.
A weekend full of, And so what do we have today? The government with our state legislature, they have, what, $1.1 billion in overtaxations already?
In excess revenue.
In excess revenue, which is a code word for overtaxation.
Which means we didn't pick your pockets enough.
We didn't, yeah. They only got an extra $1 billion to blow. So now they're proposing, our legislators, who will probably now also install a gas pump at the State House so they can get free gas. Because we remember what happened when they passed the increases in liquor taxes, and our state rep at the time, I don't believe he was a senator at the time, I think he was still a rep, but drove over to New Hampshire so he could duck the taxes that he passed. Again, our legislature does it again. Massachusetts lawmakers propose expanding highway tolls and charging drivers by the mile. This is absolutely, it's incredible. It's mind-boggling. I feel like digging up Milton Friedman, trying to get a clone.
Well, so I have a question about this. How the heck are they going to charge you by the mile? Do you have to bring your car in every month to have your odometer looked at? To have your odometer documented?
No, I already figured it out, and I haven't even read anything about it, but this is my theory. It's only a theory. What they're going to do is you have to get your car inspected every year, right?
Correct.
So they've got to take a mileage reading.
Right.
So they'll probably send you a bill after they check your mileage. They'll go, okay, you put 10,000 miles on your car this year, here's your bill.
Which is going to hurt some people's pockets.
I mean, look, I'm not saying that's the way they're going to do it.
No, but I mean, if they do it that way.
I'm just saying, I don't know any other way to do it except that you'll be required to put your gas mileage on something and report it periodically if they're going to do it incrementally. Because what other way is there to do it?
That's what I'm saying. But they want to do that.
But look, they don't care. Right. All they want is your money. They'll figure that out later. And
they're trying to cover it with niceties. They're saying, well, if we do the per mile tax, only the people that are using the car to get in these traffic jams will have to pay that tax.
Yeah, that's going to stop them from getting to work.
Exactly. And then they'll cut down. They'll use more public transportation. But they're going to institute the gas tax, the 24-cent a gallon gas tax. So it's 24 cents on top of it. So if you're paying $2.22 a gallon right now, you're going to be paying $2.46.
And you know what the next thing they'll do will be? My prediction. Remember Johnny Carson, Karnak the Magnificent?
Karnak, yes.
Karnak the Magnificent. Well, they already have. The legislators already get $100 a day for driving to Boston.
That's right.
If they live, more than 10 miles away or something like that? I forgot what the...
I think it's supposed to be 50 miles, but
it's
probably 10.
Probably 10. But guess what? They'll change it to anybody that drives into the State House, which is everybody, and they'll jack it up to $300 or $400 a year. You think these taxes are going to hurt them?
No, of course not.
It's like pharmaceutical drugs hurting congressmen and senators. Doesn't hurt them. They have free health care and free everything. That's why they don't fix it. You think they're going to fix it? They will have no tolls because they'll have state plates.
That's right.
They'll have no tolls, and they'll bump up their stipend for any taxes that they're going to incur, so they'll make a profit. So look, we keep telling you, you gotta You got to put a revolving door on every public office. You can't get term limits through because the foxes are minding the hen house and the taxpayers are the hens. And you can't get term limits through because they're not going to limit their ability to dip their head up to their waist in the trough.
Correct.
So the only way to get rid of them is for you to exercise your right and vote their butts out every 2 or 4 years. 2 terms should be max, like the President of the United States. They talk about we don't want a monarch or a baron or whatever all these things. But the reality is we do have a constitutional monarchy because our elected officials have created their own monarchy. They're exempt from our laws on the federal level. They have their own
Which, by the
healthcare.
way, is illegal.
Yeah.
Because Congress shall create no law that does not equally apply to the general man and the elected officials.
That's right, but they do it.
But they do it.
Yeah, and they have a retirement system that when your butt hits the seat in Congress for 1 day, you're automatically got a pension.
That's it.
You don't have to work 30 years or 40 years like you and I do. No. You have to, this is the thing. They are a monarchy. Do you think anybody that's in Congress that gets stopped by the D.C. police, you think they're going to do anything to them? No. They're like foreign dignitaries. They don't have diplomatic immunity. They just have
immunity
from everything. And look, we've said it a million times. I've said it I don't know how many times on this show. But what they all need is really simple. You want to cure the problem, then you can leave them in forever. You know why you could leave them in forever? Because they wouldn't stay in office. If you made them live in the cesspools they create, you wouldn't have them. Make these people pay $1,400 for insulin. Let these people suffer the fact that in every other country on the planet Earth you can get drugs cheaper than you can get in the United States. And I don't mean a nickel or a dime cheaper. I'm talking 33 to 85% cheaper.
Exactly.
I'm not talking chump change, and I have the numbers.
When you consider that insulin in this country is selling for $125 to $700 a vial, but if you go to Canada for the same insulin, you pay $25. There's a problem.
Didn't I on one of the shows? Didn't I bring in one of the documents that I got that had the Canadian price versus
Yes.
the American price,
Yes.
and it was like $500 in Canada, and it was $12,000 in the United
Right.
States or some. It was ridiculous, and I went over a few of the higher ones, but they're allowed to make them live in a 3-decker in a low crime city like Fall River, which is yeah, I'm being facetious, and you know that, obviously. So, but the Chamber of Commerce, that's an ad agency and a marketing gimmick, has said it's a low crime area with a pristine waterfront. Yet for 2 consecutive years, we've been voted the most dangerous city in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And I don't know if we're still the 2nd most dangerous in New England, but we were last year. They didn't tell us where we stood in the entire battery of New England states, but that's the reality. Let them live here. Stick them in a 3-decker on Tecumseh Street. And I'm not saying anything, Tecumseh Street, I just picked it out of the hat because I happen to know some people that used to live on Tecumseh. Or stick them anywhere. 5th Street, 4th Street.
I was going to say, put them on 5th Street.
Stick them in a Flint. Anywhere but the North End, because that's the rich enclave that we have here. That's where the rich and nauseous and the tax code, the special tax code, because there's virtually no crime.
Imagine, if you will, for 1 second, if Congress had to have the same health insurance that a senior has to have. Imagine for 1 minute if their retirement was Social Security.
Yeah.
Imagine for 1 minute if their drug plan was the same that seniors have. You know what would happen real fast?
It'd all get fixed.
Social Security would be paying out a living wage. okay, or a living amount of money for a senior to live on, the health care problems would be solved, the drug problem would be solved, everything would be resolved overnight. Overnight.
Absolutely, and we've said that time and time again, because, you know, I'm a, look, all you have to do, you know, the old adage, you know, walk a mile in my shoes. No, I want you to walk 3,000 miles across this country in our shoes, because let's give them exactly what we have. You know, I'm on the retirement board, and I represent the retirees in this city, the municipal retirees. And I said statistically last time we checked, we had 60% of these retirees living on less than $25,000 a year. And the most they can get for a cost of living increase, because it's capped, and they only tell you the percentage because people go, oh, they're getting 3%. Oh, I only got 1.5. We only got 2. You know, in our contract, they got 3. Yeah, but it's 3 at a maximum of $12,000. So they get $360 a year, less than $1 a day, and they're living on less than $25,000 a year. I challenge a congressman to live for 6 months on a gross pension of $25,000 a year. Bernie and his how many houses, the socialists, the millionaire socialists that we have in this country. Let me see them live on $25,000 a year or less. That's gross income. Let me see them pay what these people have to pay for their prescription meds. Everything would be fixed. Everything would be fixed. And they would not stay in office. There would be a vapor trail coming out of their butt for them to run into some job that they can give themselves in some agency. Because they would not stay in a state house or in Congress if they had to live the life that the average American has to live. And you're right. Let's what if? Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could do that? Wasn't there a couple movies about people changing bodies and things, and an old guy became a young kid, and
Yep.
a young kid
Trading
became an old...
Places was one of them.
Yeah, yeah, a few things, and it was like, this is what we need. We need some kind of voodoo that we can get them and stick them in a minimum wage job, living somewhere in a 3-decker in Fall River, or New Bedford, or Lowell, or Lawrence.
Hey, I got a place for them to live. They can live in New Bedford with the Latin Kings.
Yeah. Yeah. But
they can live in the same building.
you know, when you see stuff like this, it makes me crazy, because they give themselves pay raises and stipends, and they'll make sure this doesn't affect them. And that's what really disturbs me about politicians. Nothing they do has an impact on their way of life. Nothing. And when I see people up there preaching about, well, we need socialism, and they're millionaires, those are hollow words, because, you know, Bernie, you want to start taking care of the poor in this country, sell a couple of your houses and move into a 3-decker.
Yeah.
I'm sure, you know, there's a lot of 3-deckers for sale in Fall River. Buy a 3-decker, sell all your houses, give all your money to charity, then come talk to me about socialism.
Imagine for a second if our state legislature got paid based upon the median income of their districts.
Oh,
That would be their salary.
There's an idea.
Okay?
Good one, CJ. I like that.
If you're
idea.
representing people who are only making $33,000 a year, why should you be making $133,000 a year? You make $33,000 a year. Here's another idea, which I've had for a long time. Remove the state retirement system from elected officials. You can't get, you got to pay into Social Security.
Yeah, get your 401k and get some Social Security.
There you go. That's it. Imagine how many people would want to run for office after that.
Yeah. Well, you know, as you said, what a great idea. Pay them like the people they represent.
Right.
Because look what happens.
They'd all be moving to Newton.
You'd have 17,000 people running for state rep from Newton. Everybody that wasn't a professional that lived in Newton would be running for state rep, so they could have a six-figured salary. But you know, we laugh to keep from crying because it shows the fundamental inequity in this system. And as I said, they're always talking about socialism. And look, neither extreme works. Show me anybody that ever lived in a socialist country. In Russia, when they come here from Russia, they virtually break down and cry when they walk into a supermarket. They've never seen food like that available. They have to wait for a week to get a loaf of bread. That's socialism. Go to socialist countries and see the way they live, and see how many people that used to live in socialist countries that want to go back. I haven't seen a lot. If you can get a couple, bring them on. We'll have them on the show. Let them really have a chance to discuss the relative merits and how wonderful socialism is. Then they can explain to me how they came here. But you know, that's the problem. The problem is the extreme right, the extreme left, trickle-down economics with Reagan. That crap didn't work. Because in reality, the only thing that does trickle down is crap. We know that. That great economic system that was touted for a while will make the companies rich, and then they use their other old adage that they use to try to spin. A rising tide lifts all boats. No, it doesn't.
Not if it has a hole in it.
No, your boat's got a hole in it. Because look what happens. All the companies got rich. Multinational companies are billionaires, trillionaires. And what happened to their workforce? Gone. Now they moved their factories to Mexico, to Bangladesh, to wherever. They're making the drugs in China because they can get them cheaper, and they're making trillions of dollars.
And their CEOs
so
are making
where's
a lot.
your trickle down? Nothing trickles down. It trickles up to the stockholders and to the CEOs. And I don't know if he's had a pay raise since the last time I looked, but I continue to use the CEO of CVS Caremark, whose salary, gross salary, including his stock options, is $32.8 million a year.
Now, don't you
He's
wish...
making more than the entire Corky Road neighborhood. And a Flint thrown in.
Now, don't you wish you, for one moment, just take 10% of that home?
Sure.
5%.
wouldn't?
5%, you know?
Look, there are some people in Florida that like to make 1%.
Exactly.
I mean, you look at that number, it's staggering. 32.8 million, not 32,000, not 320,000, not even 3.2 million, right? 32, not 3.2, 32.8, almost another million.
Yeah.
We'll round it up because it's more than 5. 33 million bucks a year for raping the people of the United States for pharmaceuticals.
But hey, we're giving you drone delivery of drugs.
Trickle down economics didn't work because corporate greed always trumps trickle down economics. All boats do not rise when rich and greedy people get richer. Socialism doesn't work.
All you got to do is look at Venezuela right now.
The capitalism to the extreme doesn't work because it's all about money. And the hell with the workers. As to quote my old and one of my favorite books, Labor's Untold Story, a multimillionaire factory owner in the 1800s told the Senate that when he was questioned about the deplorable working conditions and the low wages that he was paying, he said, "I treat my workers like the machines in my factories. I run them until they break down, and I cast them out into the street." That's what they're doing today.
I was going to say, there's no change today.
No change today. The only difference is they're not as blatant. The blatant arrogance of those people in the 1800s, because they basically said, in the other quote I like, is about, we own all the politicians. Doesn't matter who's in the White House. We elected a Republican governor on the West Coast, a Democratic governor on the East Coast, and we own them both. The rich control the world, control this country, and they still do. So when I see people talking about, well, you know, give them all breaks. Look what happened to the banks under the Reagan era. Reagan broke the Air Traffic Controllers Union, passed all these protections for big business, the taxes for big business, and there's an old book, now it's an old book, it was a new book then, called America, What Went Wrong. Go to the library, go on whatever that thing is online that you can get books from.
Amazon or Kindle.
Amazon, Kindle, or whatever. See if it's still around. It's called America, What Went Wrong. Two economists broke down the 12 years, 8 years of Reagan and 4 years of the first Bush. And it showed the statistics of how businesses' taxes went down 400%. And how all these part-time, they created the part-time environment that we live in today. And as a matter of fact, during that era, one of the things they pointed to was the largest profit-making bank in the United States during that period, and they made billions of dollars, and I forgot offhand how much they made, but they made billions of dollars. And you know what the first act they did was after they closed for the year and they made billions of dollars? They laid off virtually their entire workforce except for the managers and the big money personnel. And then they rehired them as part-timers so they didn't have to pay benefits and could pay them a lower wage. You don't believe me? Look it up. They also did the same thing with the only profit-making. Does our government do it? Yeah, even our government. Because they can say what they want, like they're for you. I'm a Democrat. I'm for the working guy. Yeah, you are. Sure you are. That's a bunch of BS. You remember this, CJ? There was only one profit-making hospital in the state of Massachusetts.
Lakeville.
Lakeville Hospital. And actually, I can speak fairly accurately about what happened there because I knew a nurse, and she actually walked a picket line out here at BCC with me when the firefighters, because she ended up the union president of the nurses at the place up in Canton, that the hospital school,
Yeah.
Mass Hospital School. And I actually consulted with her on a few grievances that they had. And so she came down in the support of solidarity, and she walked a picket line in her nurse's uniform with us here. And some of the firefighters remember that. She originally worked in Lakeville. That's how she ended up at Canton. She went from Canton, she had to drive all the way out to Tewksbury for almost a year because of the bumping. You know how that goes in a state.
Yeah.
She had to drive all the way to Tewksbury, and then she finally got back to Canton, which is as close as she could get. But she worked at Mass Hospital School for years. They sold it. The state sold it. Why would you sell the only profit-making hospital in the state of Massachusetts? Easy. All your rich buddies wanted it.
They wanted the land.
And they wanted the money.
Yeah.
So what is the first thing that they did when they bought the hospital from the state?
They fired everybody.
No more union. That union was no longer, it was a state union.
Right.
Mass Nurses Association. That's it. Union was gone. So they came in, they didn't fire everybody. They went, okay, you got two choices. You still want to work here, you'll have the same job. You'll have the same duties and responsibilities, and you'll be working for half the money. Or beat it. So most of the nurses with seniority beat it.
Yeah.
Because they bumped somebody else. So you really believe you can convince me that politicians and big business have our best interests at heart, the taxpayers and the people who have to work every day for a living? You're not going to be very successful, but you're welcome to come on and try. But like CJ said, we want to cure the problem, get to the damn polls.
That's it.
Vote these guys out.
You know,
Make it a revolving door. Yeah, lobby, change the Constitution. Make, like, as CJ said, have the state rep's salary not be automatic, give themselves automatic pay raises and stipends. Have it be attached to the districts they represent. That'll give them some incentive. The average household income in Fall River is $34,000. How many people you think are going to run for the state house if they're making 34 grand?
Not too many.
Oh, somebody who's making 30.
But you know, the worst part about it is these politicians have also made it very difficult for us to change anything. For instance, the voters voted to have term limits. They took it to court. The judges turned around and said, "Okay, we'll get rid of it. You got to have a constitutional convention."
And by the way, who appointed those judges?
The House and the Senate and the governor. And then here's the worst part about it: to have a constitutional convention, to put that on the ballot, you've got to have both houses agree that this is what they want, and then they put it into the Constitutional Convention where they've got to agree again to put it on the ballot. And how many of them are going to put in a law that's going to cut their jobs out of? None of them.
Of course, it's absurd. That's why you need a revolt of the voters, because you can't. They fixed the system. The system is rigged. You cannot beat them because everybody that rules. It's like going down to the Board of Elections. Everybody on the board is appointed by a politician. You really believe you're going to get a? You really going to believe?
Hey, I can tell you.
It's like getting a legal opinion from Joe Macy.
I'm still waiting for a legal opinion from Joe Macy on my claim on Steve Camara.
Yeah.
Nothing's happened with it.
Well, this is why I said we probably have to file something with the Attorney General or something like that and make charges, but maybe we can do that. But as you said, the system is rigged. The only way we can beat it, and you know what irritates me more is vote them out. But you know what irritates me more? Bad enough when they do stuff like this. It was like when Bob Correa got rid of the chief's job, took it out of civil service, and we all know what happened ultimately with that. It went back, but we fought against that, and we got almost 15,000 signatures in 2 weeks. It was going to go to the ballot. The law clearly said that if we secured those signatures, that action by the city council was null and void. And you know what Correa did? Because he spent 30 years in Boston, ran up to Boston and passed special legislation to circumvent the law. And that's what you do when you want to circumvent the law, because you can pass special legislation to circumvent law. They do it all the time up there for their friends and for their own good.
Like the police chief who can get his full salary and his
But you know
pension.
what disturbs me more? Pass a ballot question like the sales tax or capital punishment, and they override the will of the people, which is a direct violation of part of the first Article 5 of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts' Constitution. They are defying the oath that they were sworn to when they were elected, when they do that. When the people of the state speak, and they do it all the time. So if that doesn't get you, I don't know what will. But hey, we had a good time today. We didn't even talk about the Riv today. We beat up the state. I love it.
Hey everyone, have a great day. Try to stay dry, and we'll see you on Wednesday. Stay angry, people.
And remember, you'll be paying $5 a gallon in Massachusetts.